In 1939, especially the early stage of Second War means World War. In the vast and brutal landscape of the Second World War, there are countless stories of bravery, sacrifice, and survival, but few tales stand out like the incredible journey of the soldier who lived through the impossible. His name whispered through the years like a quiet legend, a man who refused to fall when every force of war pushed him toward death. His story begins far away from the roar of the front lines in a small, quiet village where he grew up, dreaming not of war but of peace and simple life. Yet destiny had other plans for him, and soon he would be thrust into the darkest storms humanity had ever created. When the war erupted, he was called to serve just like many young men of his age. He left behind his family, his fields, and the quiet rhythm of home, marching into a world of chaos where bullets tore through the air like angry spirits and explosions painted the sky with fire. At first, he was frightened, trembling inside, though his face remained calm. But as days turned to weeks and weeks into months, he began to change. The soldier inside him awakened, shaped by survival and overwhelming responsibility. He had to protect his comrades, and he had to protect himself. His first impossible moment came during a night patrol deep behind enemy lines. His squad moved silently through the forest, the moon their only guide, their boots sinking into wet earth, when suddenly machine guns erupted from the darkness. Men fell around him, their cries echoing through the trees. The squad scattered, trying to escape the deadly rain of lead. But he found himself pinned to the ground with no cover, no support, and no escape route even then. He refused to surrender. He crawled inch by inch, dragging himself through mud and roots until he reached a fallen tree trunk. He pressed against it, waiting for the gunfire to pause, then sprinted through the forest, dodging bullets that sliced the air beside him. Somehow every shot missed him, as if fate itself bent around him. That night, he returned alone, breathless, shaken, but alive. His commanders called it luck, his comrades called it a miracle, he simply called it survival. Weeks later came the frozen hell of winter. The war front moved to a place dominated by snow, ice, and unforgiving wind. Soldiers froze in their trenches, weapons jammed, boots stiffened, breath turned to frost in seconds, yet duty pushed them forward. One morning his unit was ordered to hold a ridge that overlooked a strategic valley. The enemy wanted control, and they attacked with relentless fury. Artillery shells exploded around him, lifting snow and soil into violent storms. One blast threw him into the air, knocking him unconscious. When he woke, he was half buried in snow, his body numb, pain radiating from his ribs. His helmet cracked, his ears ringing with silence around him. Only the moans of wounded men lingered. He should have died from the explosion, but again he rose, staggering through smoke and snow, searching for survivors. He found 3 of his comrades trapped beneath a collapsed bunker, and with frozen fingers he dug them out, pulling them to safety. As the enemy advanced, he carried one wounded soldier on his back, slipping through snowdrifts and ducking behind broken trees until he reached friendly lines. No one believed he could have survived that blast and saved others, but he did, and the legend of the soldier who refused to die grew even more. Months passed and battles changed landscapes, villages burned, mountains trembled, cities collapsed. The war swallowed everything in its path, and still he marched forward each day, unsure if it would be his last. Then came another impossible test during an assault on a fortified position. His platoon charged uphill under withering fire. Explosions burst around them, flinging shrapnel in all directions. The men pushed onward, but a hidden mine detonated beneath his feet, throwing him violently across the field. Dust and smoke covered his vision. He could not move. His legs burned with searing pain, and his hearing faded to a dull haze. Others would have surrendered to the agony, but he crawled again, using his elbows, dragging himself inch by inch through the battlefield. He passed fallen soldiers, both friend and foe. Bullets tore into the ground around him like angry sparks, but none struck him. Medics eventually found him and evacuated him, shaking their heads, wondering how he survived the mine blast without being torn apart. He healed slower this time, yet his spirit remained fierce. Once recovered, he rejoined his unit, refusing to be sent home, refusing to leave the war unfinished. He believed that if fate spared him so many times, then he must continue fighting, not just for himself, but for all those who no longer could. His final impossible moment came near the end of the war during a desperate stand in the ruins of a shattered town. His unit was outnumbered, low on ammunition, and trapped by enemy forces. They held the broken buildings as long as they could, but soon the enemy breached their defenses. Chaos erupted. Hand-to-hand fighting echoed across the rubble. In the swirling dust, he fought like a man possessed, shielding his comrades from danger, pushing back waves of attackers, even when smoke and fire surrounded him. Then a burning structure collapsed, sending a wall of debris crashing down onto him. His comrades screamed, believing he had finally fallen. The man who escaped death so many times surely could not rise again from beneath the ruins. But he did. Hours later, when rescue teams searched through the rubble, they found him bruised, bloodied, barely conscious, yet still alive. He emerged from the destruction like a ghost, refusing to surrender to death, even at the war's final moment. By the time the guns fell silent, he had survived 6 near-death encounters, injuries that should have been fatal, and battles that wiped entire units from existence. Historians called him the unbreakable soldier. Veterans called him the man who walked with fate, and he himself always said he was simply a man who never gave up. After the war, he returned to his home village, older, quieter, carrying the weight of everything he had lived through, but also carrying the strength of survival. He planted new fields, rebuilt his home, and chose a life of peace. His story spread slowly, whispered by those who served beside him, told by families who owed their lives to his courage. He never sought glory or recognition. He only wanted the war's shadows to stay behind him. Yet his story remained a testament to the human spirit, to resilience, courage, and the inexplicable force that sometimes guides a person through the darkest moments of life. He was the soldier who lived through the impossible, not because he was invincible, but because he refused to surrender his hope, his will, and his humanity, even when the world around him shattered into fire and despair. His journey reminds us that even in the most hopeless circumstances, courage can create miracles, and a single determined soul can defy the impossible again and again. So if you like this video, don't forget to share this video with your friends and subscribe this channel. Also like this video.